N.J. Brown writes, "My black and white labels, journaling cards, and die cuts are quite neglected. I need to use some of them up, but I don't really want to do a monochromatic black and white layout. What is your fun way to work a bunch of these into a colourful page? Glitter Girl, can you help N.J. Brown capture contrast and colour?"
Of course I can. To get started, I gathered all different things I could find in my stash that were black and white. I have an older American crafts paper from Soho Gardens, 3 different Project Life cards, that's the 3x4 size from the Midnight Core Kit, a black and white polka dotted strip from Teresa Collins, a black and white die cut from the newest Dear Lizzie collection, and some black and white label stickers from the My Mind's Eye Chalk Studio collection. And then I decided I would go with a black and white photo. Certainly not a requirement of working with black and white pictures, but I thought it would be an interesting photo to scrap today. And then I have put myself on a little bit of a challenge to use some of the gadgets that I've invested in and don't use on my pages all the time, namely my silhouette. So I cut this Halloween word from a scrap of glittery black paper, and I have to say, although I'm proud that I've set myself a challenge and gone through with it, in the time it took me to get that one word in a state that I actually like, I could have made an entire other layout. So I'm not sure if that's worthwhile or not, but we'll see how it looks on the finished page and whether my mind is convinced that the time is well spent to get all those all the size and shape all picked out correctly, and what I wanted from what I wanted to cut, and then getting all the edges blacked with ink, because I didn't think that part through. I cut it from a paper that was black with black glitter but had a white core, so of course once I'd cut it I had white edges around the edge, which I didn't like, so I spent ages getting the ink around the edge, and I've also stained my fingers black. I've scrubbed them as much as I can. So I don't know, you're gonna have to put up with inky fingers, and I had to do all that extra time to get one word that I normally would have done with letter stickers. We'll see if it works out in the end. Okay, so my first favorite thing about using black and white supplies is that you can then put any color with them that you want. And the last time I did a black and white layout, I added pink. So this time I thought I'd change it up a little bit and add some aqua instead of the pink. So with the black and white polka dots, I'm going to use this aqua washed paper. It's very subtle, from Fancy Pants. And then started finding different things that I could put with this. Well, both the Pebbles and Dear Lizzie Polka Dot Party collections have both black and white and aqua, so those were a good choice. So I've got some little black and white accents throughout these sheets, but also some aqua that I could throw into the mix, and other colors that coordinated well with the aqua. So if I wanted a little bit of pink accent, I've certainly got plenty there. And some letter stickers, little black and white letter stickers from the Glitz Design Finley collection, and some aqua polka dot thickers from Dear Lizzie, that font's called RSVP. Another Dear Lizzie die cut, but this time in white and aqua, and another Teresa Collins strip, but this time in the aqua and black. And then I thought maybe just throw in a little bit of gold. That's from the same Teresa Collins pack, and because I used that gold and teal combination a few weeks back, and I really like that color combination. I haven't used it again since, so I thought it just caught my eye, and I thought it could work. So that's where I'm starting today. And what I want to do is take this one photo. I have a really specific story I want to tell with that picture. And what I'd like to do is have this nice colorful piece on top of the black and white. So then I have a black and white frame. And then I want this big section throughout the middle here to be loads of different accents, mostly in black and white, and with the photo in the middle of all that, and then my title running straight underneath the photo. That's going to give me loads of room to write this story that I want to write underneath, and the title's quite long, so I think it'll need a little bit of space above and below there for writing as well, but I think it should all work. What I want to do is focus on putting lots and lots of embellishment right behind here. I haven't pulled out any additional paper. I don't have any intention of using more paper. So I'll go ahead and get started and see how easily this comes together. In the original question, she says that she has lots of black and white accents that she needs to make a dent in. So this is going to be a design that doesn't try to stretch those embellishments to lots of pages, but instead focuses on using several together to create an impact. I didn't ink the edge of the aqua, but I think I will ink the edges of the smaller pieces going into this group of embellishments, using the Project Life cards as pattern paper essentially. Instead of having one large block of pattern paper, I can have 3 smaller blocks that make up a rectangle. Putting that heavier card in the middle. And then these 2 either side. And I'm not going to be journaling on these, but instead using them to hold the other embellishments. So if I start with just those 3, and I can see how my photo is going to fit there so far, and maybe start to work out where the other pieces should go. And I think it may be best to run these horizontal pieces directly below the photo. And with these little border pieces, you always get the edges that if you're going to use the whole 12-inch piece, you get the nice little rounded edge. But if you're going to cut it somewhere, then you get one flat edge and one round edge. So I sacrifice the round edges and make them both flat. Otherwise, it bothers my eye. I don't really think it's that important, but it bothers me. So it must bother someone else out there, and otherwise, I have issues with rounded edges, and I don't really think I do. Okay, so this is going to give me some horizontal, and I need the same thing here. See, I have this one that comes perfectly to the end, and this one that has this tiny little bit of a scallop I've used part of it, and I just like it better if they match, if it's possible. And this piece is heavier, so it needs more adhesive. I'm not trying to get this perfectly horizontal, but that first place that I placed it was a bit too skew, so better if I can straighten out just a little bit. And then my photo is going to be right in the middle there. I'm thinking maybe this right over the top of the 2 could work really well. Just go over that join a bit. Okay, so with this one, I don't have to worry about the, I don't have rounded edges to worry about, I have words. So what I'd like to do is, instead of having one complete word, I've cut it so that that pattern goes off the edge a bit, and that then means I can cut it over here, and that way you can still tell what word that is, and even if you couldn't, I'm not really worried that you can't read it, but I like it to look like those pieces were meant to be that exact same size, so that it's not obvious when you look at it that I cut it to fit. That's what I'm trying to go for when I look at the edges of those little details. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. And just trying to see if I like this better tucked in or right on top. And at first I thought I was going to put it on top, but I'm actually quite liking it tucked in there. And I think I'll add some pop dots to the top edge of this photo, because with all the different things that I'm planning to add in here, I don't want to lose the focus on the picture. The picture is black and white, and and that's going to mean that it grabs your attention less when it's surrounded by all this black and white. So I want to do everything I can to give it a little bit more prominence in the middle, but by placing it right in the center of the design, that should help. So I know that this piece is going to fit down underneath, but I want to add in all the other pieces before I look at the lettering, because the lettering is going to go on the top layer essentially. So at this point I want to get all my little black and white elements, and this one I've pulled out essentially because of this mustache sticker, which the mustache stickers are normally, if I like the whole sheet and it has a mustache, I probably won't use the mustache and I just buy the whole sheet and sacrifice the mustache. However, you'll notice this is one of those rare opportunities where a mustache sticker is appropriate to the photo. So I want to make sure I use that, but I also want to use some labels so it's not just all wild shapes. It also has a little bit of something a bit more neutral. And a shape like this I can cut right down the middle and then use either side. I want to tuck it underneath that border there. And it's a little off center on purpose because I want to add different things here. And just like the photo, I can start adding a little bit of dimension just with a little corner popped up instead of the whole piece. That should frame the photo nicely now, how there's the dimension here. And I'm just going to start adding in some of these other little black and white pieces and see where they best fit. On many projects, you've seen me cut apart the sticker sheet to be able to move stickers around to find their placement. And with small stickers that I'm going to add with pop dots, one of the easier ways to do that is to just go ahead and add the pop dot but not take the backing off, and then I can do the same thing that I would if I cut them out, but it saves me cutting up the smaller elements of the sticker sheet. So with all of this, I'm looking for ways to work in this horizontal space. So I want to extend this horizontal border, and I was going to go behind that sticker, but I think instead I'll go behind the card here, the Project Life card, and take that die cut edge to nearly the edge of the aqua pattern paper. That gives me a bit more horizontal space here. And I figured out that I'm going to place that mustache right at the top of all of this. And it's going to go right in the center here. And I'm going to add some other things perhaps on top of it to help it blend in a little, or I may let it stay as some bold, iconic statement. We shall see. But from here, I want to work across this strip here with my different embellishments that are black and white. And I can start to balance things. So this sticker is circular but quite large. I can balance that with a sticker that's a circle but smaller, and then another black and white element that's not a circle that's going to add a little bit more weight. So right now these two are almost balanced. This takes up a lot more width, so that makes me think I need something in this space over here. So I can balance that with something like this little turquoise heart that's going to have good contrast on that black sticker background. And then I just continue to build from one side to the other to keep that balance. To make sure this has some movement, even though I want it to be quite horizontal and balanced, I've done two little things. One is that I've used the enamel dots to have two different flow directions. So if you kind of follow from dot to dot with just the black dots, you start down here in this bottom corner and bounce up and across and up to this top corner. So that I have slight diagonal line that crosses the photo. And then I've gone back with some gray mist and done the same thing. I've just followed that diagonal line so that it's quite subtle. It's not a huge splash of something to say there's a diagonal line here, but gives a little bit of that movement so it doesn't feel like everything is blocked into this particular horizontal space. But then I've taken white dots and done them in a zigzag horizontal line, a bit like polka dots. So there's 3 on this side, then over here the same thing. And with that I added a few turquoise dots of ink. So that should keep everything a little bit balanced, even though there's kind of a variety of what's here. I do try to pick 2 things at a time. So when I found that I had a black paper clip, then I went and found a white paper clip that would match. I could use 2 black paper clips, but I had one in black and one in white, so that seemed a good balance. There's an aqua butterfly here, same butterfly motif in gray and white down here. So I'm choosing 2 things at a time in order to balance from one side to the other. I think I am going to leave this mustache quite plain at the top, and I'm ready to start working on that title. So I have 3 different types of lettering I want to include. I have my silhouette cut title, then I have some tiny little letter stickers and some larger letter stickers. And what I'm going to do is use the thickers below the Halloween and the little stickers just above it. So I think the trick here is for me to get Halloween in just the right place and make sure that it's going to be nice and legible. I think what I want to do, it's going to have the nicest contrast if it's on the aqua background. So I'm going to run it so that the top of the normal lowercase letters hit right below the gold border, and that means these ascending letters are going to come up over the gold, but I think that's still pretty legible and should work. Then this gives me a nice little gap here to add in the small letter stickers to start the title, and I can run the thickers straight underneath there for finishing the title. I'm going to try something a little bit different with the placement of the journaling in this design, and that is that I'm going to start the journaling in my handwriting here. I think I can get 2 or 3 lines of journaling height-wise in between the every and the day, and then continue it so it'll start 2 or 3 lines here, then the next line will come all the way over to the E, and then follow in this space below. I think that will give me a little bit more space to write, and I hesitated to tell you this because I've already told you about my strange issues with the edges of this, but every day is also one of those things that drives me a little mad if I don't have a way to make it really clear which version I mean, because every day as one word without a space, and every space day, 2 words with a space in the middle, the 2 things mean different things. So every day as one word means it's ordinary, it's something that's normal, it's not particularly special, it's every day. That's as an adjective, whereas every day meaning every single day of the week, yes, means the actual day. It's just one of those grammatical things. We all have the different words that set us off, and every day is one of mine. So I thought maybe I could make it really obvious that way, that it's 2 words, by placing the writing in the middle, and that would also give me a little bit more writing because I'm realizing that I'm a bit further down on the page than I originally imagined when I started designing this in my head. I think the space at the top is going to work out well for me to also include the date, because my journaling is really specific to the year that this picture was taken in. So I think if I put the year above this, centered above the mustache, then that should frame everything up from top to the bottom of the page really nicely. One can hope. I'm going to pick up my pen and hope that I can get the writing to work well with this space. The good news is this was exactly the right size for the journaling I wanted to include, so that worked out really well, and I've just added a black and white, or well, black with a little bit of white spatter on top. sticker from the Dear Lizzie sheet there at the bottom and some black enamel dots. And what I noticed when I looked back at the whole page is that these little sprinkles of gold, I wish there was something just at the very center of the page at the bottom in gold to incorporate that. So I had one sticker left on that pebble sheet where these gold stickers came from that was gold, but it was too big to place there. So since I already had a couple little heart motifs up here at the top, I decided I could just use a punch and it was another tag like this. So I've just punched the gold heart from that. It's a little bit crowded here at the bottom of the page, but I think that's a nice balance to that color. There's now this strip across the middle, this will accent this one, and here. So quite like that. Then just to add a very finishing touch, I wanted to add a little bit of black ink up here, but not just ink splatter, but some sort of shape. So I'm using the little asterisk that comes in this particular Amy Tangerine stamp set, and some black ink just to dot about in these little open spaces here. And I think that's probably enough. I'm not seeing anywhere else that really says to me that I want to put more in that spot. So I think I'm going to leave it here. Your challenge this week is to use black and white embellishment on a page of any topic, any style. You can use color photos. You could use more color with the black and white if you prefer, or you can stick to just one color and maybe a little accent. And you could do all black and white, all monochromatic. It can be any style of page, any size of page, but just something you're making in the coming weeks, something new. And I hope you'll upload it to the gallery and share it with us. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Join us next week for the continuing adventures of Glitter Girl and the ongoing mystery of the scrapbooker behind the mask at twopiesinAbucket.com.